What up, Knights? We about to dive into the breakdown of Lovecraft. You see, Lovecraft, you have to understand something. That you have spacecraft, but on here you have Lovecraft. Ask yourself, why is it called Lovecraft? We know that a spacecraft is that which is able to go out of space, right? A love is that which is a craft. This love is able to go and do things that's crafted. This Lovecraft is like space ship, right? Or a spacecraft. You look it up, you see that it means that which is able to go out of space. Now, if you notice in this movie, right, was a series, they should have made it a movie. We're going to turn the volume down, and you'll notice that it got a lot of hidden messages in it, right? This person, this man, he's a soldier. Then we go to a scene in the beginning of this movie where it starts off that this boy is American boy. It says that this boy is a soldier, right? You will notice that in this movie, you're going to see triangles very strong. Over his head, there shows a dragon. Remember I was telling y'all about the breakdown of the dragon in this dragon bloodline, and how those three green triangle spacecraft, you see? So they telling you, a lot of things is in plain sight. Let's go. And it shows this lady, alien lady, coming out of the spacecraft, coming down towards him, right? To identify with these extraterrestrial beings being connected to this soldier, this black boy, as it states in the beginning. If you haven't seen Lovecraft, man, y'all better go watch it. This series is really deep, and you will see. There she go. She's coming down, but she coming down with the Christ-like symbol in the cross, right? She could have came down, hands to the side, hands over her head, you know. But you got to understand the signs and the symbolism. Remember I told you in my last stories when I explained to you that the Jews, the Hebrews, are looking for their Christ. Extraterrestrial beings have their Christ, you see? And as she comes out, her color is red, you see? Red, like to identify with being kissed by the sun. Red is also the color to identify with the planet Mars. Red is also showing as if she is burnt and kissed by the sun, you see? Anytime you say the word Satan, you're saying tan, you're saying color. Yeah, her colors is red, and she have this green type of outfit on around her. And they saying the year is 1928. Listen, I can't make this up. These things that I be teaching you, these things that I be telling you about sex magic, and how these beings is well aware of what's going on and happening on this planet. Now, if you understand that this movie been out, been written, it's been written, and the time in which this book was written, I'm gonna show you, it's up top. So it says 2016 about the author. This 2016 novel, Lovecraft Country, has been adopted as an HBO series by Jordan Peele, right? And it says that his latest novel was 88 Names, was published, in March of 2020. It's important because I want you to understand that the events that happen in this series is based on a true story, right? Listen, yes, HBO Lovecraft Country is based on a true story, drawing on real-life events and racism in the United States. Sundown Town, all-white communities. The Green Book, a travel guide that lists towns and businesses friendly to black travelers. The Tulsa Race Massacre, racist medical practices, and so forth and so on. Yeah, so she come down to him, and she hold him, and what she say is, now mind you, when she says what she say after holding him, right, a beast is gonna come from out the ground. Now, why did it take for her to come down for a beast to come out the ground? That beast could have came out anytime. Look the way she did it. She did it like, look what you did, or look what you brought forth. She held him and she turned him in his directions. You see, my interpretation is to understand the concept of him having this beast within him, calling it forth. What you think? Understand that this soldier-like man is traveling. He's riding. He's coming from somewhere. You'll notice that in this part that he's coming because he's leaving from a place, right? And in the show that he has a book on his lap, leaned up against him on his crotch, called Princess. Now, understand something. That princess means Amira. It's Arabic. Amira means leader. It would be the opposite of what the name Amir means. You see, this identified to, likened to one leaving prison, leaving his home, leaving his country, leaving from where he moved from, traveling to another place. You see, I can't make this up. The book that he have on his lap is called Princess. Again, which means Amira. You see, Amira is a girl's name of Arabic origin that means princess. It also means commander or leader, a variation of the boy named Amir. Shows him crossing the bridge. He in the back seat. I remember on them long ass rides to Green Bay Correctional Institution. So mom, when you taking that trip, but crossing the bridge and crossing over. And so it's a lot to deal with this leader, this commander, this soldier, crossing, leaving from where he was to starting his journey, starting his trip, his mission. And it shows him crossing over, leaving Kentucky, his distaste for the Jim Crow and the atrocities and pretty much a lot of the racism that was happening then. Go back and you'll notice that over his head, you know, all the colors that we have in a rainbow, why would they have blue by his head and a reddish one next to the blue? I understand it, but I possibly posed that question so you could think. Why would they have this Superman colors by his head? It could have been lime green, it could have been brown, dingy brown, you know, suitcase color. And it looked like he got some type of hand gesture that's being shown. Is that a upside down 6, a number 9? That's what it looked like. It looked like a 9. 9 means I, right? So with the princess there, then this 9 symbol, or P. Interesting. The I, or the 6, or to identify with the 9. We know 9 identify with I in the alphabet, which is the 9th letter, which means the I. Has a lot to do with the I of his third eye being activated. The eye being out the window is to identify one being able to see out the window of itself. You see? It's just my interpretation. It's important to understand that the codes and the messages being given, all this is coded. You see, in my mind's eye, it's identifying codes to identify. One being released from prison. He's a ferocious reader. He enjoys reading. Now, where they going? They going from his release. He's going to Chicago, which is to identify with one who is close to Chicago, which is, in essence, Milwaukee. Because Chicago is only 2 hours away from Milwaukee. Well, correct. It's only an hour and 33 minutes, which is how this traveling is dealing with, as I stated. One being free, let out of prison, to identify secretly and codes is being given. One being released, freed. He threw the finger up. The middle finger represents 1. But he's pretty much saying F also is double fold to the Jim Crows and what was experienced back where he was at. You see, he's reading. He's a ferocious reader. And him going to Chicago is to identify with one really going to or from Milwaukee. She gonna ask him. She gonna say, so tell me, what's that book you reading? It's caption. She say, tell me, what's that book you been reading about? He said, The Princess of Mars. Now you see, the Princess of Mars is the same thing that came out of the sky in a green spacecraft. You see, which to identify what this as being. Not I can't do nothing but give it to you plain, exact, and correct. This princess is from Mars. Remember I told you that the red of her skin represents Mars? And what princess means? That's why on the book it says a princess, or a princess, is the same being that came down, wrapped around him in a loving way. What the book is about. Check it out.
That book you've been reading about.
A Princess of Mars?
Mm-hmm.
He says about this man named John Carter, right? Who goes from being a captain of the Army north of Virginia to become a Martian warlord. Pause on that. And not in the East Coast type pause, but stop and ponder. Why is it dealing with this extraterrestrial being about this John and this John Carter? And how everything is tied to his bloodline and him being a extraterrestrial origin. It's important. Then also say it starts with some running from Apaches, which means Native Americans, right? And then
So him running from Apaches and hiding in this magical cave.
Hiding in a magical cave. Hold up. Let's go back some. Being a captain in the army. Listen. We're going to send a Martian warlord. Then starts from running from the Apaches into him hiding in a what? Hiding in this magical cave. You see, when you become incarcerated, when you're locked up, the cells are like caves. It's pretty much caves with bars in front of the cave. You see? And then what? Then it said, which transports him to the red planet. Which transports him to the red planet. So, If it transports him to the red planet, was to identify that queen of another planet that was in red from Mars, to identify with his connection to the planet and how he has a connection to these beings that also teleports him. Let's go back some. Alright. Apaches hiding in a magical cave, transfer to the red planet, and then that's when it starts to get good, he says. You see, she looks at him. Because we know what's happening on this red planet, because the princess is red. And you know what makes him, and it identified with him being from Chicago. Little Negro boy from the south side of Chicago.
Boys from the south side of Chicago, don't tourists get to do that.
And he say he like reading the books because he get to travel and he get to pretty much save the world and save the day and fight monsters. So he states that he went to the army to get away from his father, and in the same time he came back from the army because of his father. And she asked, you said, is he sick? He said, no, he's gone missing. The correlation, the connection to this is applicable to my situation. Well, my father was sick, 2015, when I was locked up for revocation, right? And while I was in MSDF, my father had passed away from cancer. Yeah, they called me and told me the same day that I arrived there that my father had elevated from cancer. So he ended up becoming missing. So he was missing from this planet, from this planet Earth to his ascension. And I say that because the Lovecraft book, remember, it was written in 2016. I was locked up from my revocation for initially 4 years, but ended up being 5. You see, because I kept getting into fights and catching batteries, so they tacked on a little extra more time. This is important because remember in the Michael Jackson, Billie Jean, and I showed you that the green sign that was above the head, that what it encode to, well, across the way, just as the same thing that was in the Billie Jean Is Not My Lover. Across the way is a prescription shop, and across from it is where his uncle is, right? Laying in the bed with a woman. But if you haven't seen Lovecraft, man, be sure you see it now, because I'm about to tell you some things. Yeah, so go download Cinemax and start watching it, because the man that's in the bed with his wife happened to be, yeah, I ain't gonna give it away. Yeah, I'm gonna give it away. It happened to be the soldier father, his real father, it was stated. To find out, yeah, somewhere down the line in the series, we're gonna find out that his uncle is really his father, and his father, this uncle who is really his father, is very much tapped in with a high-level secret society. Now we're gonna do a little bit of history, because and we depict, when it break down who this person is, this soldier, right? It says Atticus Freeman, that he's a soldier and he's a poet. You know what a rapper is. Rap is rhythm and poetry, but he's a poet. He's ticked by everyone else. But Williams, they call him Mr. Freeman, and to Ruby, he Mr. Fix It, right? So it's important that you understand, because it's about to get deep, because his name ties into the order. His name is also this A that's connected to this person is connected to the tri-formation. It's about to get deep. But I have to give you a little history. Then do your own history. You know, research, find out a little bit more because it's about to get deep. So you ain't making this up. Here you go. Watch. Then they're going to show who in the bed. They go past the window. But in this same apartment, in this same building, who's in the bed? Yeah. That's his father over there on the right. And that's his wife over there on the left. And as you can see, his name is George Freeman also. You see. And if you go down, it say unnamed father-in-law. But in the movie, it identify him as being, watch the movie. I keep calling it a movie. It's something like a movie. They should have made it into a movie. Here you go. You'll see it in Billie Jean, Decoded by me, DaRon. Just check that out. And you'll see that the same pharmaceutical store is to identify with who this person is, but it also in connection to one across the way being like, you get your medication from a doctor. You see? Let's see. Let's do the breakdown on here where it says that when he come around the corner, it's going to break down the coding of the name of this person. You see? There you go. Stay tuned for part 2 on the breakdown of Lovecraft 1.